Hi, do you want the tea on traditional publishing? Then this is the episode for you. I'm author Tonya Duncan Ellis with another episode of Write This, my author interview show. And today we are having a special segment on the tea on traditional publishing, where I'll be talking with another children's author, Tee Thior, about the ins and outs of the traditional publishing industry. She had messaged me with some questions about my own personal publishing experience as I wait for the birth of my upcoming book, They Built Me for Freedom. That's my first major traditional publishing deal after years of self-publishing. So I thought it would be a great idea to go live and to answer questions that T has, and also answer questions that any of you guys might have about traditional publishing. So I see that she's joined, and I'm going to let her on now. Let's see if I get this out here. Let's see if she comes on. It says she joined, but okay, she's on here. Yay! Hey, how you doing, girl?
Tonya, how are you?
Fine. I have been looking forward to this for the past few days.
Me too. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very excited about my book. It's actually about Juneteenth and about a park here in Houston where they held the first celebration for Juneteenth called Emancipation Park that I have visited.
Love that.
So I'm so excited to share it with people.
Yeah.
But
we can't wait for your book to come out. What an exciting addition. We need more Juneteenth books. We need more Juneteenth stories. And it's amazing that you have such an incredible landmark right in your hometown.
Right. And actually, there is another mural here about 40 minutes from where I live. And it marks the spot where they made the actual announcement. And I had Van Garrett last week, author Van Garrett. He wrote a book called Juneteenth that's out now that actually
a little bit.
So if anybody wants to check that out, it's called Juneteenth, and it talks about the actual spot where they made the announcement.
Love that. Yeah. Well, Tonya, I'm so happy. I see we already have some friends on here. So welcome, everybody. This is Tonya's show that I am coming in and kind of flipping the microphone around for today. And I'm so excited about the conversation. Tonya has an incredible book. We know her from her self-published series, and now she's gone traditional. And I had some questions about going the traditional route because I have some plans in the future. And Tonya has been so kind in answering my questions for all of us to learn from. So Tonya, we'll just go ahead and jump in. So we know that you have a successful self-published series, and this is your new entry into the children's book world because your series is a middle grade.
Yeah.
What made you want to go traditional publishing for this book?
Well, I have 13 books in my current series, and it became a little bit unmanageable for me, honestly. Being a publisher, I have my own publishing company, Turner Publishing, where I've published my 13. We got somebody else join. Hey, somebody else join.
My kiddos.
But so we. Hey. Okay.
I'm sorry. Hold on.
Okay. Well, while her son, I'll answer that question. So my 13 books in and so I go traditional, some help with the books, and that's when I decided to get into traditional publishing. Got her. T. If anyone else have questions, I'm going to continue when she comes back for clarification on the question.
What happened, Mom?
Oh.
Clarification on the question. I heard the end part. My son fell. I'm sorry, everybody. He fell.
Is he okay?
He's okay.
Oh.
He just needed some mommy hugs.
Okay. Good. Okay. Well, anyway, I was just saying that it became a little bit unmanageable with 13 books to do all of the publishing tasks. And now that you're releasing your book,
Yeah.
you know things involved. And I became a writer to write. I love being an entrepreneur. I love marketing and doing things. But I said, I want to focus on my writing, and tasks that are involved in publishing take my time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another reason that I decided distribution, because my books, as far as bookstore placement, they're where I can get them in.
Yeah.
Traditional publisher, I would have a team of people to help me. They have a sales team that works nationwide, worldwide, to get my books out. And I wanted my work to be more widely read too. So that was another reason why I decided to pursue.
Okay, I love that, and I absolutely understand that, especially now that your series has grown to as many books as you have. Now, walk us back to the beginning. How was the process with query letters and building relationships and the whole process of having your book selected?
Right, and this for me was a little bit unusual compared to some people. Some people, it can take years to get an agent, but I kind of, when I made up my mind that I wanted to get a publisher, and actually I also shared this, a friend asked me, I got a book in one Barnes and Noble, and they were, I want to buy it across town, can I go there? And I said, oh no, it's not there. And I realized I've got to hand sell all these places, and I don't want to do it anymore. So when I got a book called, it's called The Book. It's with the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. I'm a member of that group for children. So the book is a resource guide, and it lists all the literary agents. Book world. And I also got my favorite books. If you look in the back of most middle grade books, when they have the acknowledgments, they always mention their agent.
Yeah.
All books that I felt like were kind of similar to mine or and I queried all those people. So it was like 50 or 60 people because it said, I want an agent.
Okay.
And so a query letter, I learned to write them in that book. They have templates on writing your query letter. Out BWI book. Also, there's plenty of online. Hey, how you doing? There's plenty of online resources that show you what to do.
Good.
And a query letter is the book, and the book. Okay, so you have 3 elements in your query letter. The hook is like kind of giving a little sentence synopsis of your book.
Yeah.
Then you talk about the cook is yourself. I mean, the hook, the book, and the cook. Okay, so
you have the intro, something about the book, and then something about yourself.
Right, and then the cook, you like, why are you the person who should write this book?
Yeah.
So
love that. So okay, I know this was a much faster process, and it seems like you really hit it strong in that you were like, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna contact my whole contact list, who I have to contact. And I'm sorry, son.
Batches though, I would recommend, like I would do like 5 at a time.
Yeah.
And 5 more, because say you have working with your query, you have a chance, with your all out at once.
I want to play with you.
Okay, baby. See you later.
But the other interesting thing about my journey is actually when I got my agent, I queried a middle grade book I had written, a different one. And so it actually never made it. So all of this process is fraught with rejection.
Yes.
You kind of be thick-skinned. Even after you get your agent, we queried my book for like a year.
Mom, can I have those?
And it did
good. Okay.
That book actually, because in the meantime, I just got interested in picture books.
Yeah.
And the book that I got my agent with, and another agent had told me it had won a prize at a conference. And she
Wait, you entered your story in a contest before?
Well, what happened is that SCBWI has different regional conferences, and so I went to one, a virtual. This was during the pandemic, and I've got a critique, and when you get a critique, you pay like $50 or something, and then entered for a prize. Or I didn't know, honestly. I was like, I'm this. I don't. So then the agent submitted it, and I didn't know that I won.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even think I went. So she was talking to me afterwards. She said she wasn't taking new authors on, but she told me I needed to try to get an agent. And she said, I have a lyrical quality to my writing, and have I ever thought of picture books? And I was like, I never really thought of picture books. It was like a totally different thing.
Yeah.
Started learning about picture books and at that conference, Kelly Starling Lyons spoke, and she wrote this book called Sing a Song. She's written a lot of different books, and we were boohoo crying. I was embarrassed. I was like, oh my gosh, seriously, it was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to write like this. I want books. And after that, I just started learning everything I could about picture books. And during the time I was querying my other book, I wrote They Built Me for Freedom.
Yeah.
And I sent it to my agent, and this was before Juneteenth became a national holiday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'm like,
so you were right, perfect timing.
Right. And I said, Juneteenth is going to be a holiday. I know it is. I just knew. And I said, we've got this book, we're going to sell it. And it sold in like a couple of weeks. So this was very unusual. Yeah. And I was very.
That's incredible. One, is incredible that you follow your own intuition and knowing that something big was like right around the corner, and had yourself positioned to be able to contribute something incredible.
Right.
I'm surprised.
Fine. When I went to this park, I'm serious, because I passed it many times going to my church, and because it's where my ancestors ran, I'm like, oh my Lord, my ancestors were here.
Yes.
And I just felt like this should be a book.
Yeah, there was a connection there. I love that. I love hearing this story, because in my mind, your journey went a completely different way.
Oh.
So in my mind, I was thinking, of course, Tonya has an incredible series that we all know and we all love. And someone must have found your series, and perhaps you built a relationship from that. But to hear that it was going through the children's book, the SC, I always get their letters mixed up, but going through that organization and still querying and just having luck on your side, you can share. Guys, if you're a parent and you know that it's summertime, we had a whole plan this morning about how they were going to sit during this meeting, and the plan has been thrown out the window.
Well, I have three.
So I appreciate everybody for being patient with all these surprises my children are throwing my way, honey. I want you to go down and eat your muffin. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So that sort of answers my question, because I was thinking that, perhaps your do you feel like your series contributed to this in any way, or do you really think it was just having a compelling story and really doing the work to get that story in front of people?
I feel like my series helped me as far as doing the work to develop myself as a writer. But a lot of times, because I've sold one book in my series, it's a book called Code One about computer coding. Scholastic approached me and they bought rights to that in 2021. But my agent didn't want Sophie Washington because they don't want something that's already published. So she took me for another project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I did. My work may have helped just me developing and knowing how to network and what things to do to help me and have confidence confidence in my work because I think it helps me since I know I've successfully self-published my series because there's a lot of rejection.
Yeah.
Even in before I got my agent, actually, I had gotten some rejections and some people requested me to change my work, do different. And I thought it was one day I'm serious. I said, Lord, I can't take this anymore. I'm tired. And very minute, T, I'm serious. I got an email from my agent. That minute, I was sitting at like, I cannot take this. I'm gonna
ready to walk away.
That minute, an email popped and it was from my current agent.
Yeah, what a sign! What a impactful sign that you're meant to keep going with this.
So it's a lot, but I encourage people. We all go through rejection, and even after you get an agent, then if you're on submission with your books, you're still going to get rejected for them. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's good to know. I think for all of us who are planning to go that route, I think it's good to sort of be mentally prepared that rejection comes along with it. And if it's something that you believe in, you just kind of keep going.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward a bit to being in the process. So I had some questions. Okay, well, once you're selected, then what happens? So especially coming from self-publishing, where you've had complete control over your book, and now traditional publishing where there's pros and cons to having a team, I'm sure. How was the editing process? Did your story change? Where did you have the opportunity to put input in once your story moved on to the next person in the team?
Right. And I was really pleasantly surprised with that because my current editor, when they took on my project, he and I met. It was virtual. We talked for like an hour about my vision for my book, my inspiration, how I came up with it. So I really connected with him. We had like a real, and even during the editing process, for me, it was just lovely because as a creative, I've been in isolation working alone. I do have beta readers and I use editors for my self-publishing, but I loved working with him because he really understood, he got my vision, and his suggestions were just to make some things longer in the story. And he went over everything with me. Any suggestion he made, he asked for my input. And then with the illustrators, they choose the illustrator, but they asked me who I would want to use.
Ooh.
Which I wanted Nicholas Smith, who wrote Born in the Water, who illustrated Born in the Water. Houston. I'm like, ooh, I would love to get him. But now he writes and illustrates everything. He's no longer
an illustrator only.
Right. So he said he liked the project, but he didn't want to, he had other things in the works. So they gave me a list of 3 illustrators, showed me the work, and asked me which one to rank them. So I was very involved. And then even with the illustrator, she's not located here in Houston. So I took pictures from the park and sent them to them for her to use. And when we have the sketches now, black and white page, and they got my input and everything.
I love that.
Yes, yeah, so I've been very happy. They really were very respectful and asked my views on anything that we were doing all along. I mean, it comes out next, not completely done, but my editor has had me involved in all, the entire process.
I think that's so important and so cool that you've been able to have some input and really make it your own, because once it's published, you still have to be proud of that work and you still have to sell that work. So being a part of the process, I'm sure you can stand by it.
Yeah.
Once it's time to get it out and show it to the world. So that's really cool. So I think my thought is, if you're going the traditional route, you don't have a lot of like financial costs and expenses the way you do in like the self-publishing world. Is there anything that caught you off guard financially? Anything that you thought would have been covered that actually was your responsibility, or anything like that with this process?
No, and actually, if it's a reputable traditional publishing company, all the money should flow the author's way.
Yeah.
So I've had nothing. I've been paid
Good.
other books through them as well. It hasn't been announced, and they paid me, so they should pay the author.
Mm-hmm. Good. Okay, that's what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure because I haven't been a part of the process, so I'm like, I wonder if there's anything that's unexpected. So that's good to know. Has there been any delays in the timeline? Has anything changed as far as that was concerned?
Now that's something, it's very long. Like my book, I signed a contract maybe a year before I had to. So that, and you can't say anything. So that's something. And then my book is being published through HarperCollins. There actually was a strike. So that delayed, it didn't delay the work on my book. My editor was still working with me, but it delayed when I could.
When you could share it.
Yeah, because they were going through a strike.
Okay. I'm wondering if anybody who's watching, does anybody have any questions about the traditional publishing process that you might want Tonya to touch on that I haven't asked yet?
Yeah, any other questions from anybody? And I really encourage authors, especially authors of color, to try the traditional publishing route because many of the indie authors that I've been familiar with work so hard and put so much into their books and into their own publishing companies. And if you put those efforts into the system, then I to have your work seen more widely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this will help even introduce your middle grade series to some new readers. So that's really a win-win-win-win-win.
Right.
I love this. I love this conversation. Do you think there's anything like maybe any general tips that self-published authors self-published authors or even new authors should do to sort of get themselves prepared for the process of going this route? Should you have more than one story ready? Should you?
Question. Very good. Yeah, if you're doing a picture book, you should have 3 manuscripts ready.
Okay.
And wanted to see something for you. The book, they got 3 books. And I would recommend joining groups like.
Okay.
And also there's a book for picture book authors, or a group called 12 by 12.
Yes,
I've
heard of it.
Yeah,
are you a member of 12 by 12 as well?
Yes, and I love 12 by 12. I joined it a couple of years ago. They take it in January and February. And the goal is to write a month.
Yeah.
Critique, and it helps. So what? So that's great. It worked so well because I've actually sold books from I wrote during that with help.
Ooh.
And just getting in groups and getting with other authors to help you work. Also reading books. I'm mainly picture books since I've sold picture, but whatever genre you're writing in, read modern day books in the genre so that you can see what is popular and so that you can get something that's sellable.
I love that. Tonya, I really appreciate your time. Those were the questions that I had, and I think you've answered all of them beautifully. I'm certainly walking away from this conversation with information that I didn't have before. And I am also a part of the Society of Children's Books Writers and Illustrators, and I have not utilized the book. So I'm feeling inspired to go into probably download the updated version and and take a look and see what's inside of that resource. 12 by 12 has also been something that I've been teetering on, so I might try to hop in their next cohort. So this was an incredible conversation. I hope everybody who is watching now and will come back and watch it has gotten some helpful information. I'm so excited for your book. I'm going to be the first one at Barnes & Noble once it's out and ready to be purchased by the world. So I appreciate it, and just keep letting us know your journey and how you're moving and what books you have coming out next.
Well, thank you, T. And I want to encourage you, keep on.
Thank you.
This and keep your hat ready, because you're to be told. And the authors of color, I encourage you to, even though it seems difficult for me, it seemed like I couldn't understand what was going on. Join and learn, because people are telling your stories.
Yes.
Why not you tell about your history and culture?
I love that. Why not you?
Yeah.
Why not you? I think that's the motivation that is like a good note to leave on for anybody watching, even if you're not considering traditional publishing. I think that's so powerful. Why not you? Tell your story. Tell the story of the important landmarks in your community. Tell the stories of important historical figures and historical moments, or even like me, my stories are featuring my boys. So tell even your current day lived experience, and just keep writing, I think. Thank you, Tonya. I love this. I can't wait till we chat again.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time, and tell your boys, have a good day. Thank you.
My boys have been doing the most, but yeah, I'll tell them that they've been a part of the video today.
Yes, they're stars. Okay, and see you all next time for another episode of Write This.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.